Right, so welcome back to the Young Fan Podcast and welcome to a little chat, a little conversation about Ipswich Town. We're joined by Alex Griffin, the man that knows everything about the Tractor Boys, of course, amazing YouTube channel. Alex, take us away, mate. How you doing?
I'm all right, mate. I'm not bad. Ready for the big game now on Saturday. I'm ready. I'm excited.
It's going to be interesting. I mean, I just said to you before we started recording, it only feels like yesterday we actually played the reverse fixture. They're so close to each other. You wiped us off the floor last time. I want to touch on your last game, though. Our one against Fleetwood was a little bit smash and grab, but yours had a little bit more of a build up to it. Of course, you faced Plymouth. It was sort of deemed as a little bit of a title decider. It ended as a stalemate 1-1. How are you feeling? Heartbreak in the last minute. We won't speak about the goal scorer's parent club. That probably will rub a little bit of salt into the wound. But how do you feel? Because that was really, really bigged up. And I mean, it was just last minute heartbreak for you, wasn't it?
It was. I was absolutely devastated. I thought we'd done it. I thought we'd won probably the biggest game of our season. But you've got to respect Plymouth. They played really well. They played some lovely football. And at the end of the day, the goal they scored in the 93rd minute, unstoppable. I don't think any goalkeeper in this league would have saved that. So yeah, a point was probably a fair result, but it's just how it happened. It wasn't nice, and it definitely felt like a loss. But we go again against Oxford, massive game, and it's a game that we have to win. You're probably saying the same. You've probably got to win it as well. But yeah, that's how it was. I felt gutted. I'm still gutted about the game. But it was a lovely day. It was a really good day, and the atmosphere in Portman Road that day was it was unbelievable.
Yeah, I mean, it was like you say, it was really sort of built up as this important game. And I think sometimes when that does happen, although, like you say, it probably was actually from a neutral. I know you weren't watching it from a neutral, but it actually probably was quite a game of football. But it does end in of course, real disappointment for you. I want to speak a little bit about the last time that we played against each other, which was about 3 weeks ago. Really, really close to whether the fixture list has been scheduled. They are really close
Boxing
to each
Day.
other. Boxing Day was the last time, yeah, literally so recently. How do you feel Ipswich did on that day? Because I watched it, I did a video on it, and I think I was fairly honest with what I said. I thought you're unstoppable. That's the word I used. I thought you're unstoppable. I thought you were relentless. I thought you went about the job like, I think I said it, potential champions. It was a really, really quite perfect all-round performance. I thought defensively, I mean, we didn't really phase you too much, but when you were called upon, the players dealt with it to absolute exceptional ability, I'd say. Midfield, I thought, I want to talk about Evans and Morty because the two players on that day were absolutely brilliant. I thought Wes Burns, I thought Leif Davis, they provided the width down the left and right hand side. Again, they didn't have to do too much defending, but when they came forward, I thought they were just second to none. The Dapper got on the score sheet, Harness was lively, and Chaplin scored as well. I thought, I've just named your entire side there. They were all on absolute top form there, but that just shows, I think, the performance that you showed. How do you sort of reflect on that? Because, like I say, I can't see too much has changed other than the fact you signed probably two of the best available strikers in League One. We're looking for a striker and haven't done that. So, other than that, I mean, like you say, because they are so close to each other, how do you feel and how do you think Ipswich did on that day in particular?
I personally thought that was probably one of our best performances of the season. We looked strong. Obviously, you named our whole squad. We've got really good squad depth at the end of the day. George Hirst, obviously, we saw him play against Plymouth in the second half. He looks lively. He looks really deadly. And I would not be surprised if he starts on Saturday against Oxford and scores.
I hope not.
He's quick.
But I fear
it. Yeah. But no, I think that game we played against you, we won 3-0. It was a comfortable win. I would go as far as saying we looked like a championship side that day.
I'd agree. I would agree. I think you looked all round brilliant.
Yeah. 100%.
And I think that's when you're in League One, you're talking about that sometimes is a little bit of a rarity because I think the reason why clubs like Ipswich and Plymouth and I could go on Charlton, Pompey is consistency, isn't it? And I think maybe that could be the downfall because I think if you, I mean, I don't want to rub a little bit more salt in the wound after the disappointment of the Plymouth game, but I look at where you have maybe been sort of slightly off the boil. I look at defeats and draws to Lincoln, Fleetwood, Cheltenham, and sort of Cambridge. That's the consistency thing. Because if you show that level of quality against Oxford United in those type of games,
I just want to say I'm glad you didn't mention Charlton because I would have cried.
Yeah, well, I thought I'd just pick the teams out there that because I think Charlton at the start of the season you wouldn't have expected to sort of be where they are now, but. You're right. I think there have been results where you look back and you go, if only we got more. And I come back to the thing as well. I've got XG in front of me here, 26.28. For me, from a completely, I want to hear your thoughts on this, completely external, is it just killing the game off sometimes? Is it just killing that game off, having that bit of clinical edge to go, right, we won this game 2-0, we can get out of here, but you keep the game open at 1-0, and then I look at some late drama, a brilliant example on Saturday, and the game goes, you go from having 3 points, looks like a fairly comfortable thing to come away with, and then you go and draw the game, or even worse, you lose it.
Yeah, that's the frustrating thing with Ipswich. We seem to throw a lot of leads away. You've named pretty much all the games that we have failed to win. We've only lost. I think we've only lost 3 games still this season. I think off the top of my head, it's 3 games.
Yeah, it's just a few draws that are letting you down, really, isn't it? It's the defeats are okay.
100%.
It's the draws, yeah.
100%.
3 draws, 9. Sorry, 3 losses, 9 draws. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, and if we could have, Charlton, Plymouth, Fleetwood, if we could have turned them 3 games into winning the games and holding the wins out, that would be 6 points, and we'd be back up in the top 2. So I don't know. I think the players are. I want to say they've learned from it, but I say that after every game. It's hard, mate. It's hard. I can't see Ipswich getting promoted via the playoffs. I really can't. I feel like it'd be too tough, and I think there'd be a lot of pressure on us as well. So I think we've got to try and start seeing games out. As soon as we go 1-0 up, go and push for more goals, like we did against you on Boxing Day. We scored and we kept scoring. Yeah.
I think the second goal, when I watched the game, the second goal that you scored, there was a part of it that was sort of thinking, because the first 20 minutes were quite open, wasn't it? It's quite an open first 20 minutes, and then the game switched, a complete change in rhythm. You just absolutely steamrolled us. And then the problem we had was when you scored the first, you go, right, well, sometimes a little bit of a liability there when you are only 1 goal up. And then you went and scored that second, and you went, yeah, that's game done. That's game over.
Yeah.
Sorry, you go.
I was just going to say that's the thing with Ipswich as well. Sometimes it takes us a while to get that first goal, but as soon as we've got that first goal, we can score and score and score. Prime example, when we played Rotherham in the FA Cup, it was a really, really tight game, but as soon as we got that first goal, we went and scored 4.
Yeah, floodgates open and you're in there. I think that's important. So finally, just sort of looking at the final 2 points, but I want to speak about, you mentioned Hirst, you mentioned Broadhead. I thought your January window so far has been nothing short than exceptional. I think it's been so good. And what I like about Kieran McKenna and what the people of the recruitment team and everybody are part of the club and a part of what you're trying to do off the field, you've highlighted areas in which you need to strengthen. We always knew that the striker was probably an area you wanted to go and pick someone up. I mean, you've gone, and I said it earlier, probably the 2 best available strikers for a League One club. And I say available because it's not available for everybody. Ipswich clearly have got the pulling power financially, and also I think the league position, the manager, and the stature and size of the football club. Hirst on loan, we know he has had stints in League One, or one in particular last year for Portsmouth. We spoke about it. I remember we had a conversation before the season. You were linked to Hirst, and you said, if we can get that deal done, that would be incredible. It didn't happen. I think he went to Wigan, was it, or another Championship club? He's now with you, and that's a brilliant loan pickup. And then Broadhead on a permanent deal. I mean, you must be delighted with that. He did brilliantly at Sunderland as well. Those are 2 absolutely clinical strikers that could be the answer to what we said earlier about finishing and killing that game off.
100%, mate. I completely agree with everything you've just said.
I just think you must be delighted by that, because sometimes we can be a little bit, sometimes you can wait out that striker. And what is that perfect striker? We're in that same boat now. And I'm thinking, are we going to get one done? Are we going to get a striker in? I mean, Hirst was definitely not going to be possible in my eyes. I think when Pompey come knocking again, and when you come knocking, Broadhead, I mean, we haven't got 1.5 or so million pounds in the bank to spend on a striker. We're looking to build a stadium with that sort of money. So, of course, that's the difference in football club. But that must be a real positive for you. Sort of finally then, who stood out for you so far this season? And is there still belief around the club that a title charge is possible? Or does that Ballymumba goal in the 90th minute sort of maybe, I don't know, put a little bit of a sour taste when thinking about that? Because, I mean, points-wise, it's still on. But again, that goal must have been annoying.
Are we talking about like what teams have impressed me?
What players? You could do players as well in that Ipswich side.
Well, I mean, obviously I'm going to say Ballymumba, and it heartbreaks me to say that because he plays for Norwich.
Exactly. Yeah.
But yeah, Plymouth are obviously a very good side. Last season they somehow bottled it last season, and I think this season will be the season they get promoted. I think it's a race for second place now with us and Sheffield Wednesday. However, you did say there's still loads of points for grabs. There's 20 games left. I know there's some teams that have played less and some teams that have played more, but there's a long way to go. We're in January, and this season finishes in May. So 3-4 months of lots of football, lots of points to play for. Obviously, Ballymumba's goal didn't help. It did put a little bit of a dent towards the table, but I think we're going to do it. I think I still got that part of
That
me
confidence.
that thinks this is the season. We're playing lovely football. I honestly think, I'm not just saying this because I'm an Ipswich fan, but I genuinely think we play probably the best football in the league.
I mean, the stats there as well. You've got, highest expected goals. I think pass per sequences. You're top of the tables as well. You play really, really attractive stuff. And we haven't mentioned the name Kieran McKenna. I mean, he's a big part of that.
Yeah, he is. He came in over a year ago now. We weren't in a very good place. Obviously, we finished in 11th last season, and that was under Paul Cook, I think.
It was, yeah, and they were some difficult times.
They were. It got quite toxic towards the end of his era, but yeah, as soon as McKenna came in, it turned around. Fans started to fall in love with the club again, and the feeling just came back around the club. Or I don't know. I think we've got a really good, exciting time ahead now. I just think we need to, like we mentioned earlier, we do need to start seeing games out. We do need to start burying these teams in League One if we want to get back to the Championship. Because I do not want to see Leyton Orient away next season. I don't want to see it.
No, nor do I, but I think that probably is a realistic fixture that we see twice next year. So finally, Alex, score prediction for Saturday. How you feeling? I mean, you're going to be confident. We played you on Boxing Day, you say, won the game. You won the game 3-0. Of course, we're at home this time. Does that make a difference? Our home record hasn't been very good compared to previous years. You've, like you said, we mentioned earlier, a couple of away results also at home as well. But away, you've dropped a few points recently. Lincoln was one that is a little bit of a kick in the teeth. Where do you sit with that now? Do you feel as though you are confident? Because I, like you say, also this is a must win for you. For us, a must win for different reasons. You're trying to keep up with the three or the two. You're part of that 3-horse race in Myers. We've also Bolton and also I think Derby stiffing down your neck now. But as for us, we've got to stay in our other league table in the middle there of trying to get back into contention for the second half of the season. How do you look at it? Is it a must win, like you say earlier? And if so, are you going to win? What's your prediction?
It is a must win. Plymouth have got Cheltenham on Saturday. I know I'm looking at other fixtures. I shouldn't really do that, but the fact that it's so close at the top, we do keep an eye on Plymouth and Sheffield Wednesday. Plymouth are going to probably go and beat Cheltenham. Sheffield Wednesday, I don't know who they've got. I did see it the other day, but they've got
a winnable fixture. I think it's Fleetwood. They have got a winnable fixture.
It's a winnable fixture for Wednesday, so it's a must win for us. We need to keep the point gap as small as possible. But before we played you on Boxing Day, I did see Oxford as a sort of a bogey team. We could never sort of get 3 points against you. Obviously, last season
we robbed you last season. I remember that was one of the biggest football robberies I've ever seen. You were all over us, and Luke McNally scored a corner. It was the last minute, wasn't it? I remember watching your video, and I never sort of gloat and enjoy watching you to get disappointed. But the face when we scored that goal, it was like that work of how much you'd sort of been with the players the entire time. You'd been so dominant, and then we just killed it off with one corner. I'll be honest, I don't see that happening again on Saturday.
Yeah. Obviously, your last game you beat Fleetwood. I was quite surprised by that because Fleetwood aren't actually a bad side at home. So
they're just better. They're really good away. And I've just seen that Sheffield Wednesday playing Fleetwood away. That's at home, and Fleetwood are the away, so they got a really good away record. So maybe they could do you a favour. But we were happy with Fleetwood.
I hope so. Prediction. I've not even thought about this. I think Ipswich will win. I'll be honest. But I don't think it will quite be a 3-0 like we did at Portman Road. I think it'll be 2-1. I think you will score. I'm going to go for a 2-1 win. But Oxford are a team that I will never underestimate. I'll never write them off because, like I said, you are a bit of a bogey team against us. You can sometimes pull a result at the bag. But must win. We have to win it. If we want to get promoted this season, we need to start winning every game pretty much. We've got very little room.
This is the type of game you got to win. So I think this is the type of game you got to win. Unfortunately, it's never nice to be the opposition fan saying that, but I think it is true. Anyway, Alex, it's been an absolute pleasure to have you on, mate. Really, really exciting conversation. Speaking about everything Ipswich, definitely go and check out Alex Griffin. His link to the channel will be in the description down below. Following Ipswich up and down the country, I imagine you'll be at the game. Of course, you'll be at the game on Saturday against Oxford United. So we'll probably say hello to each other there, and we'll have a little chat in person. But it's going to be really fascinating. Definitely go and check out that vlog when it comes out. And all the content surrounding Alex and Ipswich at the moment is positive. for the most part. The game on Saturday wasn't so positive, but other than that, we'll let it slide. Alex, thank you very much, mate, and we'll speak very, very soon.
Cheers.
Take care. See you in a bit.